These are both mine. This is Phantom, my 1997 Toyota Tacoma, and this is Thor, my 2010 Volvo XC90 V8. I take both of them off-road, and before I see any of those comments saying, oh, you're wasting your time, oh, you're hurting it, let me explain why I bought a Volvo XC90 to do overlanding. This is Thor, my 2010 XC90 V8. It's pretty stock as of now, but this isn't what I'd call your typical off-roader. It has all-season tires, no dual-range transfer case, independent front and rear suspension, and it's kind of long. But my goal for today's video is to explain why I still bought this for camping and off-roading regardless of its, I'd call them weaknesses. So I had to think about this pretty logically and for a while, because most of the other vehicles that I was looking at before I bought my XC90 were more off-road capable. But I came to the point of realization where with my Tacoma and this, I'd say 70% of my driving is on the road and only 30% is off the road, at least as of right now. And I know, as much as I love my truck, it will never be as comfortable, luxurious, or powerful as my XC90. It also has so much more space on the inside that I can use to sleep inside of it and have a lot of gear inside of it too. So even if this thing is a big V8 Swedish soccer mom car, well in my case soccer dad car, these things still have decent off-road chops, and I think it's better to show how these do in video more than explaining it to you, but that'll be another video. But today I'm going to explain everything about why I chose this for camping and overlanding. So let me give you a quick rundown of the all-wheel drive system in the XC90. At least in my XC90 V8, this one uses Haldex Generation 4, which has instant traction, which is Volvo's advertisement for their all-wheel drive, and it also has brake-based torque vectoring. It's different to a system like the VTM4 in the first-gen Honda Pilot and Acura MDX, because that's more of a reactive system and this is a proactive system. The only advantage I'd say that VTM4 system has compared to this is that you can kind of lock the rear end with the VTM4 lock button, because it makes the clutch packs in the rear differential lock up as much as they can to give you more traction. When cruising on the highway, the XC90 is primarily front-wheel drive because Haldex can send up to 95% of power to the front wheels to help with fuel economy. Volvo markets this system as instant traction. As soon as the engine is started, an electric pump pre-pressurizes hydraulic fluid in the transfer case. As soon as the car senses any little bit of slip, it can instantly shift power to the rear axle. Unfortunately, unlike actual four-wheel drive, I have no control over the Haldex system in this XC90. All I can do is turn off traction control. It does have brake-based torque vectoring, which does help, but they're never going to be like real lockers. So if I really got myself hung up where one wheel on the front and one wheel on the back were both up in the air, I think I'd be screwed. Okay, so both the driver rear wheel and the passenger front wheel are up in the air. The rear one is more in the air. The front one just has limited grip because there's not a lot of weight getting on it. So I'm going to see how well the car can appropriate torque to the right wheel. This is something that would normally hang up a typical all-wheel drive or even four-wheel drive SUV or crossover with open differentials and not a lot of suspension articulation. There's also no aftermarket traction aid options for these Volvos, unlike Subarus, which have the option of the torque locker, which is an automatic locking rear differential slash limited slip rear differential. So that's something that I'd love to see a company release one day, because I would definitely put it in this. A stock P2 XC90 has 8.9 inches of ground clearance, 28 degrees of approach angle, and 25 degrees of departure. The XC90 V8 with the 6-speed auto has a crawl ratio of 14:1, which is comparable to some Subarus without the CVT and better than the Hondas and some others. The XC90 3.2 has an even lower crawl ratio at around 16:1. Of course, it's not like a real 4-low, but it's still reasonable for a crossover. There's also not a lot of aftermarket off-road performance options for the XC90, XC60, or XC70. There's a few companies like Cross Country Performance, which makes all kinds of lift kits and other off-road gear that you can add on to your XC90. I plan on doing their 3-inch lift kit, so that's their 2-inch spacer lift with the 1-inch subframe spacer lift, so I get maximum lift and then I'm not messing with my drive axles. Bad Swede also makes a lift kit for the XC90, which I've heard good things about as well. IPD makes skid plates for some Volvos. I know not for the V8 XC90, so I'd have to either find someone to make one for me and pay, of course, or make one myself, because I'd like to get a skid plate under the whole front end, under the gas tank, and probably the rear diff. And no one makes any aftermarket metal bumpers or lockers or anything for these things, because I mean, who normally takes a Volvo off-road? Before I bought my XC90, I also looked at other options on both sides of the SUV spectrum, on the more car-oriented and on-road oriented SUVs and the truckier SUVs. On the crossover side of things, the first-gen Honda Pilot and Acura MDX, the second-gen VW Touareg TDI, and the Subaru Forester or Outback. None of them have true diff lockers or low range from the factory. On the truck side of things, I looked at the 4th or 5th-gen Toyota 4Runner, Lexus GX470, and the 1st-gen Toyota Sequoia. You can get some 4Runners with lockers, but the Lexus and Sequoia only rely on A-Track, which is Toyota's off-road traction control system, which is probably one of the best in the business. All of these, as the famous Tiff Needell would say, have proper four-wheel drive. Oh my god. So I'm editing this right now, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So with this one, there's so much space in the back. This is my favorite thing. It has the split tailgate, and then I have toe straps and all kinds of things in here. I want to find a way how to put my traction boards up on the top, but this is just where I leave the stuff that I need, that I don't care, well, that I don't want to get dirty. And then there's so much space behind the first row. The second row, these two seats have trouble folding down because the handles broke, so I need to fix them. But when I fold it flat, I can lie down completely in here. And it's really wide too. So to summarize things, I chose this Volvo XC90 V8 to go off-roading and overlanding and camping and all of the above because of its comfort, convenience features, its reasonable off-road ability. You can do some things to it, and honestly, I like the underdogs of the group. Everyone looks over these XC90s for going off-road, or any crossover of that matter. So I like the underdogs. I like to show people what, the underdogs can actually do. I definitely do not recommend a brand new XC90 to go anywhere even that this would go. So on that note, it's time to end this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you stick around to watch the progression of Thor. Hopefully he's getting lifted soon. I'm gonna need your help to lift Thor because I'm doing this full time. So you guys are the main helpers and contributors to lifting Thor and lifting Phantom and doing all the things to the cars and showing all the adventures I do. So just make sure to share the videos with everyone. Anyone that you know that likes Volvos, they might be interested in seeing the whole build or project of this car. But anyway, enough rambling. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, peeps.